last thing in this concept, I know this is a lot to take in. Okay, so angles of 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 45 degrees are used frequently in trigonometry. You'll understand when we get to the unit circle. You can use your knowledge of the side relationships and special right triangles to find the values of the trig ratios. What's really cool is since all 45, 45, 90 triangles are the same, are similar, and all 30, 60, 90 triangles are similar, we can use the fact that they have special relationships to always know these trig ratios. It's really cool. And once we get, like I said, once we get to the unit circle in concept 4, you'll understand why we should know these right away. Okay? So let's fill out our angle relation or our side relationships, just like we learned before. So this is x radical 2. Short side on the 30, 60, 90 is x. Long side is x radical 3. And hypotenuse is 2x. Okay, so let's use these facts to find these relationships. Again, we're going to need SOHCAHTOA, so you can, again, write it down or look up ahead above where we wrote it down before, twice. Okay, so sine is opposite over hypotenuse. 45 degrees, pick any of them, it doesn't matter. Let's use this one. 45 degrees, so the opposite side of 45 degrees is x. We'll go up here. And then the hypotenuse is x radical 2. Oh, look at that. When you divide, the x's cancel. 1 over radical 2. Okay, so maybe you remember, maybe you don't. Rationalizing the denominator. We don't like radicals in the denominator. We need to get rid of it. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by radical 2 to get rid of it. 1 times radical 2 is radical 2. Radical 2 times radical 2 is radical 4, which is just 2. Okay? So the sine of 45 degrees always is radical 2 over 2. Okay? Cosine, so 45 degrees, 30 degrees, 60 degrees. Cosine of 45 degrees, pick this one, we're going to use this one right here, is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent side is x. Hypotenuse is x radical 2. This looks familiar. This is the exact same thing. Radical 2 over 2. Okay? So cosine and sine of 45-degree angles are the same. Okay? So cosine is radical 2 over 2 and sine is radical 2 over 2. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. X divided by x, which is just 1. Okay? So 45 degrees are really easy. You only have to memorize 2 numbers. That's it. Okay? So 30 degrees. Let's do 30 degrees. So now we're going to use this triangle here. 30 degrees is right here. We'll start with this one. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine, so opposite x over hypotenuse, 2x. Well, the x's cancel and you get 1 over 2. And that's it. Okay? All right, cosine, we're going adjacent x radical 3 over hypotenuse, 2x. Okay, the x's cancel and you get radical 3 over 2. Okay, so that's always the same too. And then third tangent is opposite over adjacent, opposite, so x, over adjacent, x radical 3. We have to rationalize the denominator. So since those x's cancel, we get 1 over radical 3, multiplied by radical 3 on top, radical 3 on bottom. So you get radical 3 on top, and on the bottom, you just get 3. Okay, so tangent is radical 3 over 3, which is just this guy simplified. Okay, and let's go 60 degrees. So now we're not using this one anymore. We're using this guy here. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. opposite over hypotenuse. Look, the x's cancel. Huh, interesting. The cosine of 30 and the sine of 60 are the same. Okay. There's a reason for that, which we'll learn later on. Cosine of 60 is adjacent over hypotenuse, so adjacent over hypotenuse. X's cancel and you get 1/2. Okay. And then finally, tangent is opposite over adjacent, so opposite. Radical 3, adjacent over x. The x's cancel and you're left with just radical 3. Okay, so that was a lot of information to take in for concept number 1. We have some examples left over. We're going to do a couple different foldables on this to help you remember. The practice quiz is pretty short. There's only 16 questions. Okay, so please, please, please do the practice quiz. You get points for doing it, okay? It hurts your grade when you don't do it. All right? So hopefully you thought this was interesting. This is gonna be our life for the next month. We'll finish this in the middle of May, and then we'll do our last unit from May until June. All right, so that's all I got.